to get started here, a little background on what I'm going to show you is I have a friend named Jeff, and he was building a layout that was supposed to be featured in a magazine. Well, due to the upheaval with Model Railroader magazine, deadlines got changed, and he needed to have what he needed done a lot sooner than he was planning on. So he asked me if I would help him by building some of the structures that he wanted. So what I'm going to show you tonight is some of the stuff that I built for him. And this is also a precursor to Naperville. He's going to do a presentation on his layout at Naperville, and then I'm supposed to do one on building these structures. So they'll tie the two together. So let me see what I have to do here to go to the next one. Okay, so the first thing I get, I'm supposed to build a couple of oil dealers, or one oil dealer to start with. So I get this box from him. And as you can see, there's a ton of stuff in here have to do with oil dealers. They're from various kits. So I've got to sort through this and find out what I can use in this space. This is oil dealer number one. The dimensions of the base are given to me by him to fit on his railroad. Also, you'll see down in the lower right corner a date, and that's when this photo was taken. Basically, what you're looking at here is the building to the left, the large building, is a Walther's structure. The small building, the pump house, and the loadout stand at the back, I believe, are Grant Line. The two horizontal tanks are also Grant Line, as is one of the vertical tanks. The center vertical tank is Walther's, and the one on the right, the big tank, is, I can't remember the name, but it came out of a box that was in the box. So what I'm trying to do here is position everything on the base so that I can fit in a respectable oil dealer and have it make it look believable. The first thing I did with that building was I added some strips of basswood underneath it, and then I painted it with my cement color, which, as you can see, is not a color. It's basically beige and gray, not mixed together and put on. So you get a color that's not opaque. It's a blend of two. I also wanted to camouflage that building that's Walther's. I wanted to build a ramp to go around the outside of it, a platform. So this shows the underside of the platform. And then this is the top of the platform with stairs on one side and by the rolling door on the other. It was, I think this is back in February, but I probably put Tamiya panel line black and brown on this, and then sanded it to get rid of most of it. Here you can see that I painted the tanks now, and unfortunately, my flow quill supply isn't what it used to be, and I can't use true color if I'm going to mask something because it won't stick. So I had to use acrylics, and I hate acrylics, and you'll see why here in a second. You can see it bled under, the green bled under the masking where I wanted to mask off the white, and it pulled, when I pulled the masking off, it pulled the white off too. So this was a back and forth deal. Finally got everything so it's half-ass painted and ready to use. Here I'm putting on some pan pastels to kind of give the building some character, added oil spills on with that panel line mixture from Tamiya. And notice I also marked an F on the base for the front. so I could keep everything orientated as I moved it around. Here's another shot of the tanks. And we'll just go on to the next one here. I've added some decals. There was a decal sheet included, so this was going to be a Sinclair dealer, so we wanted to note that. Also got everything finally painted and halfway arranged. I also added some barrels. I think I got a close up here. Yeah, there's a little door on the side of this building. I have no idea what it's for. It reminds me of a door on a tank turret to throw out the expended brass from firing cannon. But anyway, I used it where they would expel empty barrels, and then they roll down to the base. Here I've got a couple of cars put in place to get my dimensions for where the loadout needs to be for the standpipe for the tank car. And you can see I painted that base. It's now gray. We're looking at it from the other way. So now I've taken everything off. It's time to get dirty, so to speak. So I put some Elmer's glue all, spread that around with paintbrush. And then I set everything back in place where it's supposed to go. And hopefully it'll all stick. I used, for putting the gravel on the base, I used a salt shaker. And then there's places where you can't get to with a salt shaker. And I use the old method of using a card and then blowing it to get it where I want it to go. And then this shows the building with all the gravel in place. Now, a lot of people would be happy with it like it is now, but it's not realistic yet. I kind of was thinking about this today, and it kind of reminds me of Mr. Potato Head. If you remember that toy that you used to, there was a game, I believe, where you put parts on the face of a potato. And this would be just the potato head, nothing on it yet. So we have to add stuff to make it look realistic. And what I'm looking at here is we've added all of the facial features to Mr. Potato Head. And crap on the ground. One thing I detest is plain surfaces and straight cut lines. So you do everything I can to break up the straight lines and flat surfaces. And this photo shows an N scale oil dealer a friend of mine brought down when he was coming down to operate, and we set the two together to make a photo. N scale's way too little for me. Here I'm taking pan pastels and adding some grub to that gravel to give it some realism, some depth, and some character. Here I've actually taken a mix to probably a milk-like, a mixture of water and some kind of agent to break the surface tension, and some glue, and I've used an eyedropper to spread it around a little bit. I remember back when I was a kid reading in the model magazine, were doing their the ballasting their track and using an eyedropper to drop drops of glue on there. And I'm thinking, these guys are out of their mind. I could never have patience to do that. But you can see here, it's just squirting a bunch of it on there and letting it go. And then this is turf blend from Woodland Scenics. It's just the old ground foam we used to use for grass. And then I've added some coarse turf on top of it. And then I've kind of gone over everything with this spray bottle that sprays a mist, and it helps dilute the glue and get everything nice and wet. without blowing everything all over the place. And then this would be a photo of it when it's finished. And there's, I don't remember what the date was when I started, but there's the date when it was finished. I should have wrote these down, then I would know how long it took to build the thing. A couple more photos of this structure, and you've got to have the debris is, that's what adds the character to it. I've got a lot of this stuff come from um, fine scale miniature pieces that I picked up at swap meets and train shows for $1 or $2. Those concrete blocks there are from their cast resin from F&C. They're really, really nice. The ladder, I think, is from Central Valley. They sell sets with stairs and ladders. That's probably where all the platform and the stairs came from on the tanks, the horizontal tanks too. And then the rod that's laying on top of that coil of hose is got to be brass, because you don't want to put anything inside that tank car that's gonna cause a spark. Another photo from the back looking the other direction. And one last photo. Some of those parts underneath there are brass pieces from steam engine detailed parts, or just stuff from leftover from resin kits that you just paint up and throw down and look like something that they have on their bone pile. Okay, this is oil dealer number 2. After I built the first one, he decided he wanted another. And this one is going to be much smaller and more compact than the last one. So these are Walther's tanks. Might be a Walther, by how crude the platform is, it's probably Walther's also. And here I put a berm around it out of concrete. And then this shows the whole shebang. I don't know the history of that building, but that was part of the system that was given to me, and I basically just did some weathering on it. And I think it was put together, or I put it together. I think the pump house is Walther's, as is the unloading spout there. And then these are the 2 on his layout after he got them back. Another photo. Next building that he wanted done is he found this photograph of this implement dealer, and it is a cool building. It has lots of character. So he sent me this kit, and he says, build it to match the roof of the kit. So all I'm supposed to use from this kit is this roof. And this shows the roof, but at first I used the back wall, because I figured that was going to be against the backdrop. Nobody was going to see it. And here I built one side, and I built part of the front. Then I found out the way this thing is going to be put on the layout, that the back is going to be seen too. So I had to cut out some clapboard and put on the back. This shows the front all in one piece, and the other side with doors and what's been done so far. Here's the whole building has been put together. A lot of the trim pieces are all just styrene strips. There's a window. That black blob is actually a window. It just doesn't show up well in the photograph. But I tried to get some of the character with the different siding on the front of the building. And look at the 3/4 from the side. And then here's the building after I painted it. He sent me the signs, and I printed them out and made the lights for them and hung them on the building. So it turned out really pretty nice, especially when he puts it in place. Next up is this. He liked this building, so it also has a cob burner, which I don't see much in this part of the woods, but um, it would be an interesting thing to build. So this shows me laying the thing out. This is just, um, I think it's, and there's the date down there when I started on this. This was basically evergreen corrugated metal sheeting, and I just drew the thing out, and so hopefully it looked like the real one. And here I've cut it out, and what's behind it will be the back, which is just going to be plain styrene. And then I've used, he sent me a lot of Legos. So I'm using the Legos. This is a Charlie Duckworth came up with this idea of when he's building resin freight cars, using Legos to keep the corners square. So I thought I'd give it a shot with this thing. But it shows that the back and the front and the right and left side, and I mark them all so I don't get them too screwed up, because I have done that before. And then this shows the thing assembled, and I made a mistake, and the window cutouts got a little bigger than I wanted, so I put some putty in there, and then that'll hide that hopefully when I put the window on. This is the cob burner. It's a piece of one of those larger tanks, the one that the paint peeled off of, and then I just wrapped it with paper brick. And then here's the completed building with a piece of styrene tubing to run from the head house down to the cob burner. And to make it fit in place, I drilled a hole in the head house and glued a piece of rod on the inside of the tube, and then it would slide in place. That way, for shipping he could put it back together again easily. I also made a coal shed to go with that. This is clapboard siding and also car siding from wood evergreen. And again, this has been painted with gray, and you can see some tan on there. And what I'm going to do is, I don't have many pictures of this, but what I did is I painted that then with AK Interactive chipping compound. It's just a clear liquid. Paint that on, and then I painted it with an acrylic paint. And then when that dried, I wetted it again, and then used sandpaper to rub most of it off. So you get that paint failure, and old wood look. This would be the track side of it, and then this would be the load out side of it. I left one door open with a pile of coal inside. And then here the elevator is on his layout. He's got quite a pile of cob burner in there, ashes, and from the other direction. Now the biggest project coming up is this flour mill at Mount Olive, Illinois. And he sent me this kit. This is another Walther's kit, and it's not going to be quite as big as he would like. One thing I want to point out, as you'll notice, the sawtooth effect, or the steps here, those had to go to make it look more like the prototype. First thing I noticed was that there were no look-out doors on the side of this structure. So I cut out some panels with windows in them, and then got rid of them, bent them, and got them out of there. And then I filled in with pieces from one of the other parts of the kit that I wasn't going to get some doors where you could load boxes. And then this shows both sides have now been stuck together. So the original front and back are now going to be both track side. and the back will be fabricated out of styrene. And I've got 2 loadout doors on there, space for 40-foot boxcars. And then this shows after all the friggin' windows have been put in, the door is put in, and I'm starting to brace the thing up with Legos. By the way, you can see there's a bottle of Testors liquid cement in the corner. On all these, I probably used a bottle or maybe more, and without spilling it even. Okay, here's the building, the trackside view now with the 2 loadout doors, and I've added some bulkheads for the help support the roof when I don't have everything I've done so far. All of these materials I've been using are stuff I've had on hand, but I don't have any big pieces of styrene. So I'm waiting for the fella who had the N scale oil dealer to bring me down a big piece of plastic from Scale Model Supply in St. Paul. And this shows that I've lined some cars up here to make sure that the door spacing is correct. There's going to be the powerhouse at the end that'll get coal, and then the boxcar on the right is going to be in an unloading shed. Jeff sent me the lettering in the style that he wanted, and I basically just printed it, or he might have sent it to me printed. I just cut it out and glued it on 5,000 styrene, and then glued that to the side of the building. And this would be one end, and this shows that end in place, and the other end. It really is not a bad building. It's really pretty nice building. And then this would be the unloading shed. You want to keep anything, pigeons, vermin, out of the unloading shed. So you want to have doors that close when you're in use or not in use. And the only time they're open is to move a car through. Another view showing that. And then this is I've added coal pile there. It's basically like before, just a mixture of water and a braking agent, surface braking agent, and glue to hold that in place. The pile is probably some styrene, or I mean, probably some forest foam that I just poured the coal over. The actual shed itself, to get some depth to that styrene, I drew a couple of lines along it with a pencil, and then used light gray and dark gray pan pastels to try and give it a 3-dimensional look, so it doesn't all look so flat. The other piece that needed to be modeled was there was an elevator behind this mill, and there's only room for so much of it. And so what I was going to try and model is the part to the right of that yellow line or red line. So this shows that piece that I've done, just kind of stuck on the back, because this is going to go up against the wall, up against the backdrop. And I've added the cupola, or the head house, or the clerestory, or whatever you want to call it, that was on the top of the building. And here's another view showing that portion of the elevator, of the head house on the elevator that he wanted to add. And then this will be the powerhouse. This come from the kit. The only thing I did was I made that the ductwork between the actual building and the stack. And then I'm going to try and figure out how's the best way to put this thing on here. This probably would have been the best, but I wouldn't have been able to unload coal for it. So it ended up going on this way. And then here's a picture when it's finished with the coal unloading equipment, more Walther stuff. This is a pretty good deal. You get 3 of these elevators, and the part in the front that would slide under the hopper or gondola with drop bottoms, and you would convey the coal out, and it would dump it onto the drag vertical, or the horizontal would drag it to the vertical, and that drag would then put it where they wanted it. You get three of them in a package for maybe $20. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good deal. The other end of the place, I had to add a little bit to the base, because there's a building that goes here for a truckload out and a parking lot. And so here's my attempt at that building. And then here's that end finished with a cyclone on it and two doors for unloading trucks. And again, I used pan pastels to show where trucks would come forward and back up to that door, just to get away from a solid color. Although I didn't do anything with the brick, I thought about it on the building and decided it was best that I left it alone, because I'd probably screw it all up. So this is what it looks like when I think I'm finished with it. And that's the date when this is done, which is probably about a week later. And then this is the building on his layout. It looks much better when you get scenery around it. Another photo, with the backdrop and his really good looking scenery. His ground cover makes it really a nice building to sit there. Now this is from the Milwaukee aerial photos that are on Flickr. This is Minocqua, Wisconsin. And there's a lot of really neat stuff here. But the only thing I really went through this photo because you can blow this thing up really big. And down in the right corner, there's what I thought was probably something to do with a municipal. But I see the road goes up in right now. I just noticed that the road from there goes up to that lumber yard. So maybe it's an annex to that lumber yard. I don't know. But anyway, he came up with the idea of calling it a county stores complex, where the county would keep things that they needed to repair roads or bridges or whatever. And then this is a blow up of just that area, which I've always wanted to model, but never had a purpose for. So I decided that I brought this to his attention, and he thought it was great. So what we have here is he sent me a piece of paper that basically this is the footprint of where this all has to go. And I just made some crude cutouts of about get some idea of the size of the buildings. This would be about as elaborate as my measuring skills go. And then here, the base has been fit together out of several. I had to cut several pieces in order to get that funny looking shape. And I've got the front of what I call the sand house, and then I've got some place takers. I've got some stacks of concrete blocks there, the Mr. Plaster ones, which are really crap, but I set them there to see what was going to happen. And then I've got some logs or some skewer parts laying there to get some kind of idea of how this is all going to fit onto this piece. And now I've painted it gray with some brown on it, and I masked off where that sand house is going to go. This is the building further back where they were storing probably bag products in the closed end, and then the open end would have stuff that they didn't mind getting in the weather. And so what I did is I grabbed stuff that I could find around and to kind of fill the place up. Those bags are resin stack that a guy gave me at one time. A lot of there's just pieces of basswood. The bigger pieces are balsa wood that I just took my knife blade and cut the ends to make them look like they were stacked up smaller pieces. And then there's a date down here for when this started. Now I've got the sand houses coming along, and I've positioned this this shed for lumber and bags. I've tried to take the piece of the coal unloading system, the drag conveyors. This is the part that should go under the hopper, but I've turned it around and make it so it will actually dump onto a pile. And then I started to lay some stuff out because I try as I may, I couldn't decipher what some of this stuff in these piles were. But I did the best I could and trying to make it match the photograph. And then it shows, I think I ended up piling up some pieces of corrugated styrene and some tubing. And I think what those crates are, I couldn't tell exactly what they were for real, but they're just pieces of wood that I painted. And then I've got the stacking around that kind of keeps everything from falling over. And then this is where the coal would be loaded. And then this would be I added the barrels at the back. I didn't put the little shack that was back in the woods. But again, I went over the base with pan pastels to kind of break up that solid color. And this hasn't been positioned on his, well, it has. It's been moved a couple of times. So there's no photo of this one on his layout. And that is the end. And can somebody tell me how long I took for this?
It's about 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can add more to it. I've got more stuff. I've got a lumber yard that I built for him, and I'm going to build a tower. And that's in the mail. And got to modify a Walther's tower to make it look more like one that was at Litchfield, Illinois.
Nice.
So that is that. I can stop share. If you want, Ron had some pictures he wanted to show, but I've got, the last time I presented, I did one on roundhouse 50-foot double door box cars. And that's been an ongoing project. And I've added more slides to that. I can show some of those if anybody would like this.
So Clark, I should get a rebuttal and gratitude here before you go too far.
Oh, this is Jeff, by the way. Okay.
All right.
Greg, if it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, first, I can't thank Clark enough. So the backstory here, Tony Custer is a friend, and he's thinking of featuring my shelf layout, which is barely under construction, in MRP. But of course, Fire Crown's buying Metal Railroader, and he sends me an email, and he goes, "Oh my God, can you get it ready for a book? I don't know what's going to happen. It's modeling short line railroads." And there is just literally, I'm laying track. It's like, Tony, I got 4 months to build an entire layout. So I just started my friendship with Clark, and I said, "Clark, can you help me?" And he did. For those of you who have seen his stuff in magazines and whatever, he's fast and he's spectacular and he's great. So Clark and I are Tony's increasingly Fire Crown driven deadlines for his book. 4 months to do all this, 4 months. And Clark just kept churning out stuff. My only correction, Clark, you are the one who suggested with the parts I gave you, this box of crap for the oil dealers, you could build the second one. But he did all that, and we're driving back and forth, and we're trading things. And if you get monoling short line railroads from Tony, you'll see the results, and they're great. So I can't thank him enough. When so Frank Odina, if you know him from Naperville or Resin Car Works, Frank, another friend, annoying at times. Frank wanted me to expand the layout, and that is what brought it into the mill that Clark just showed up Mount Olive, and maybe we'll do something at Naperville on that. But that is a real building, and Lonnie Bathurst, who does the St. Louis RPM, actually knows the family who owned the mill, and we took some license with that. We had to, and Lonnie showed it to him, and they go, "God, that's the mill." No greater compliment than that, Clark. And so
What? I missed that. I got a compliment.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of compliments, but you're too modest at times. But so that's all that happened. One last thank you, Greg, to you and all of you. I found you all during COVID, and I talked about that when I did my Naperville thing. That's how I found Clark. That's how I found you all, and that was just hugely important. You're doing great things here. So my thank yous are, Clark, you are unparalleled in your ability to do things, high quality modeling quickly. And Fire Crown, and I'm sure Tony, thank you, because it sure took me off the hook. And you'll see maybe the sequel. We're now extending the layout into a real prototype scene. Mount Olive's one of them. The lumber mill Clark alluded to is another. So we'll maybe come back and share that later. But my gratitude and thanks to all of you. Appreciate
Very
it.
good. Thanks, Jeff. Well, Clark, you want to show those other slides, or Ron, do you want to show your pictures? What do we do next here? We got a half hour or so.
If I can, there, okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is some of this I've shown already, but I've added some prototype stuff here. This shows a list of the cars that were actually done by a Roundhouse. These are the road names that they put these cars in. And you'll notice up here at the top, there's a single door car. And it came undecorated, Texas, Milwaukee, Great Northern, Illinois Central, and new Ashley Drew and Northern. And then these are the wood cars. They did a 50-foot with a wood door, 50-foot. Oh, that's a 50-foot double door, 50-foot with an auto end and wood doors, 50-foot with auto and steel doors, and 50-foot steel doors with a plate. Now, what the plate means is that's where the Western Pacific put their emblem. And then the bottom is just a 50-foot steel car. Let me continue on. Now, this is from Richard Hendrickson, when he did an article on these cars back in like 95 when they came out. And this is what he picked were cars that were similar. He didn't use exactly the cars that that were available from Roundhouse, but cars that were real similar in design. So what we got here is we have to eliminate all the cars that are not correct. And what we end up with is a Frisco, a Mopac and subsidiaries. And wait a minute, these cars are totally foobies. They can't be used. These cars can be with modifications. And then this line here shows, I can't remember, let's see, underlined cars are correct. Dotted line cars need changes to the roof in the end. And that's from here. You can see the underlying cars are correct. The dotted line cars can be milled. And so what you're looking at of all of the cars that decorated cars that Roundhouse put out, the only ones that are correct are the Western Pacific, the Texas Pacific, and the Mopac and subsidiaries. But you can also do a Frisco car which is going to be the mini kit for Naperville this year. And so find yourself these cars. If you're going to Naperville, you'll need one to modify. Also looks like Illinois Central and Northern Pacific can also be built. And then this is another problem that I had when I was looking at this, is he's got the sides, he's got 11 panels, Howe truss, 11 panels, and Z-bar bracing. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the heck 11 panels were. And the same with this, the Pratt, which is the opposite direction of the Howe, and a nine panel with a hat section bracing. And so what I did, what somebody told me, I asked, is that he counted the doors as panels. So what you have here, the top one is the 11 panel with the Z-bar bracing, and the bottom one is the 9 panel with the hat section bracing and the Howe versus the truss, and you are the hat, and you can see that here, the Pratt versus, part of this is covered up. This is the Z-bar with the Howe, and then this is the Pratt with the hat. So basically, if you wanted to scratch build a side, you could actually do that on this car too. I may do that eventually, but now I'm going to go. This is the Frisco car. You can see that the ends, for simplicity, on the model are innies, which means the corrugations, pressings for the dreadnought ends go inside rather than outside. So this is an Audi where they come out. Now, what I just did, just got it in the mail today, was an Athearn car. I'm not Athearn, excuse me, Walthers. Walthers made this car similar that's supposed to be a Fubi, but the ends are like this. So I thought, well, I could take these ends, replace the sides, and come up with something else. But that's, let me go down. Here's the photos I've added. This is the Great Northern car. Here's a model Stefan made of that car. I think he had to scratch build the sides, or it could be at the top. It might be a Westerfield car. And then here's the Illinois Central car. Again, this one has Audi ends, so this could be done easily using the ends that are going to be available this fall, or from a Walthers car. The Milwaukee car is a 9 panel, and you can see there, this one would have to have new sides made for it, but it'd be easier to make this Z-bar than it would be to hat. Northern Pacific, that has a different roof. The Northern Pacific liked a radial roof that was different than everybody else's, and that you might be able to take that Central Valley Northern Pacific stock car and use a couple of the roofs on this car. I'm not sure. Maybe worth looking into. But this shows the end, the auto end. And I don't know if I've gone to the lengths to add all. I think on one car I built, I added all the rods, but something I need to do more of. And then this is the end. They always liked these handbrakes that were a ratchet style. Rock Island ones come next. This is the Rock Island car. It has the right roof. It has Audi ends, but again, it's got the 9 panel hat section sides. This is probably a Rocket Express car. A lot of these went to Des Moines and Central Iowa, but they replaced the wood sides with steel. Santa Fe is also a 9. We looked at this one before. It's got the hat section. What I mean by hat section, if you look at these, they look rounded. If I were to pick that up and cut it in two, so you looked at a cross section, it looks like a hat, a derby hat, a hump in the middle with a brim around it. There's another photo of the Santa Fe car. And the end of the Santa Fe showing it's in Audi. And then the Southern Pacific guys, these cars were steel to start with. They didn't have wood sides. If I were to make, I might make one of these with that, that kit that I just got today. I'll have to see. Here's another picture of that guy. And notice this one doesn't have ladders, it has grab irons. And then this is the roundhouse model of that SP car. And the Walthers one I got today is also the SP car, which are both totally wrong. And then the Union Pacific one, this again is like the SP car. It's all steel with grab iron ladders on the ends. And then this is the Walthers version. I haven't unboxed the one I got today. I got this off eBay probably. And to make them, you're basically putting lipstick on a pig. But that's basically what I wanted to show. The rest of it we've probably already seen. This shows one of the models that I built. But anyway, that's good for that. So Ron can show his photos.
Hey, Clark,
Yeah,
you were using, of course, styrene. I found a really good, cheap source of styrene, and that is H&R Block.
H&R Block from their signs.
Yep, they replace them twice a year. They generally throw them out, but if you can get them before they throw them out, they're pretty big sheets of styrene, and they'll give them to you.
Yeah, you can buy, go to a lot of sign places and probably buy 8x10 or 4x8 sheets of styrene, probably a lot cheaper than what we pay for the small ones.
Oh
But,
gosh, yeah, but I can't roll that up and put it in my PT Cruiser.
There you go. Yeah,
The other thing you can get at a sign shop is they have a lot of double strikes and misshapen signs that are just pure scrap. And they'll give them away because otherwise they'd just be throwing them away. Mistakes.
Yeah, I worked at Omaha Neon Sign Company my last 8 years working. And we had a lot of scrap that we handled that way. Usually they sold it, come by, pick it up, and you'd do like a $2 charge.
Nice. Ron, do you want to show some pictures?
I have just a very few of them, if I can find them here. They're Northwestern stuff. Let me see if I can find it again.
we want to hold that against you.
Well, since the convention was just over, I thought maybe these might work. Let's see if I can do this. Some of you people may know these guys. I
Those
think
last
they're all
entries
passed-
are when I quit rail fanning.
I think they've all passed away. I'm not sure who took them. These were Truman's collection.
I think that's a publicity photo.
Yeah.
And those things are ugly.
I think that other one I've seen before.
Can you go backward, Ron, just one?
This one?
Well, that's a neat picture, but the next one up. That one, what are those arches over the river? Or what are over the train?
They're for electric line on top of it. That
Oh,
was a swing bridge
okay, thank you.
originally. I don't think it is now.
Yeah, oh, I see the bridge now. I see the trusses. Okay.
That's Truman there getting on the train. Now we're gonna switch to some Jim Yankee pictures.
That's downtown Milwaukee. That's a Russ Porter photograph. That was right next to their big downtown depot. And that's the 1947 snowstorm that shut Milwaukee down.
Now we're gonna switch to Emmons St. L.
Huh. St. James, that's good. I'd like that one sometime.
Is that town in Minnesota? I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah, they interchanged with the Northwestern there. I've got lots of car records that from that going and coming from there.
Just to remind you that we do have winter.
Mhm.
Used to.
I assume Vern has already passed away too. These are his collection.
Oops.
Yeah, a little wreck. I think that's all I had. I just picked up a few, thinking if we had a little time, I would.
Well, that's perfect. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Clark. We are right
Yeah.
at 7:28, so our timing couldn't be better. Although we're not on a hard deadline anymore, which is good. But yeah, that was great. Appreciate you guys. Glad to be back at it here. Sorry for the hiatus that we were forced into in May, but we're back. And so we don't. Well, I don't know. I sent you, David. I sent you a note. Maybe you can present next week.
I might be able to. I have 900 photos from the convention that I have to edit and organize. But I should be able to do my junctions and interchanges clinic in a
Great.
week. Although I have this funny feeling I've done it for this group, but it's not on YouTube, so
I don't think
apparently
so. We talked about it and then we never got to it. And I put them in a spot on my spreadsheet when I think of things like that. So yeah, I think that'd be perfect. I don't think we've done it.
I'll certainly get you a firm reply in a day or two.
Okay. And then we have the rest of June open. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks at the beginning of July. And then we've got so we'll probably do one or 2 weeks in July because we'll probably also take the Thursday before Collinsville off. And then we'll have all of August. So if you're interested in presenting, just let me know, and we'll just keep doing this because we enjoy it. And today we found out that it was a big help to Jeff, so that's good to know. And yeah, I'm always amazed. One of these days, I'll do another presentation on the YouTube stats and everything. But our YouTube page just is really popular. I mean, it's staggering to think about how many hours people spend on there. And now, we've got 5 years worth of these clinics up there, and so it's kind of a significant little collection. So, congratulations to all of you, and I'm happy to have played my little part in it. It's good fun. So, with that, enjoy your Thursday, and we'll reconvene next week.
And I don't.
Good night,
Hey,
everybody.
guys.